Well, my friends, yes, we are at the Volo, and they have a Titanic exhibit. So I decided to check it out. Had not seen that before when I was here, so figured why not? Okay, I have no idea what is included or what this experience is like, but you know, everyone loves the story of the Titanic or is intrigued by it, so let's see. Alright, there's the White Star Line. There's your photo op right there on the bow. Here's a replica of the center anchor. It says the center anchor weighed 16.8 US tons, almost twice the weight of the standard port and starboard anchors, which weighed 8.84 US tons each. Replica of this anchor will give you an idea of how massive the center anchor was on the Titanic. They do have a comparison photo here. It's a huge anchor, that's for sure. You want to step up and take your photo like in the movie that made this scene famous, here you go. Now surrounding this lifeboat, it says it's half scale. Not very big, I mean, even for half scale. So it gives you a good idea based on the size of the life preserver and the paddles. Double this size. And they have all kinds of facts about it, as far as the facilities, gymnasium with rowing machines, heated swimming pool, finest amenities, authentic Parisian cafe with French waiters, piano in the third class saloon. Then over here have the provisions that would have been on board. And I'm showing it because I have a lot of friends and viewers that really are fascinated by Titanic, and I know that they want to see stuff like this. A lot of that stuff still probably sitting down in the bottom of the ocean. Titanic was never christened, not the practice of the White Star Line to hold such ceremonies. Although there were 4 funnel smokestacks, only 3 were functional. The 4th was for aesthetics. Ice warnings received on April 14th. 6. Lifeboat number 7 was the first to be launched at 12:45. It carried only 27 people, yet was rated to hold 65. Whew. There's our captain, E.J. Smith, and the crew. Then it shows the cost of taking the Titanic for first class, second class, third class, and then the salaries. And since they have a replica of the lifeboat, they're talking about what was available, what was on board. 20 total. There were a couple of wood emergency lifeboats, regular lifeboats, collapsible lifeboats, and then down here they also offer the specifications of the boat. So there you go. Really good introduction before we even walk in. A lot of background knowledge if it was any specifics you were interested in amongst these plaques. It probably gave you the answer you're looking for. Let's go on in. Wow, look at this. It's all movie memorabilia. Okay, well, that's pretty freaking cool. Or recreations. They're even playing the song, so I'm gonna have to talk a little bit to cover up the copyright. I'm very sorry about that, but I'm gonna have to talk a lot to cover it. Okay, not all movie props, because these are saying these are authentic 1870s, so it's kind of showing the period of life during the time of the Titanic, from the automobiles to the clothing on display. Here's some panel fragments up top, found floating on the surface of the Atlantic. That one right there. And then below it says, for days the Titanic sank. Ocean liners navigated the waters looking for debris and bodies, and they found this, part of the grand staircase landing. Here it's telling the story of the famous camera girl. On her 17th birthday, Bernice Palmer got a Kodak box camera as a gift. She and her mother were aboard the Carpathia, and Bernice took some of these historic photos of the iceberg and the survivors. So they were part of the rescue effort. And those are her clothes. And I guess that was her camera, because it says do not touch. And these are the clothes of Isidore and Ida Strauss, co-owners of Macy's. He and his wife went down with the ship. Isidore refused to go before women and children. Ida was offered a place in the boat, but said, "I will not be separated from my husband. As we have lived, so we will die together." They were last seen holding hands on the deck. And there they are. And this part of the exhibit saying that many believe it was weak rivets that caused the sinking. And those are examples of the rivets, those black things. And the wardrobe pictured here is showing different first class passengers' clothing styles of the day. And while we're looking at this, they have a monitor above us showing families that were lost on the Titanic. So it's a very amazing exhibit. And they have more clothing, period clothing over here. And luggage. Really takes you back in time. You really feel like you're back in time looking at these. From clothing from the 1870s to 1905, I'm seeing this car showing what would have potentially been the first class passengers' automobiles to get there. This is a Rolls-Royce 4050 Silver Ghost limousine. This was believed to have been one of John Astor's cars, worth $2.2 million. And John Astor and Madeline Astor, who was only 18, both are on there. It says, one of the richest men in the world. His net worth was over $150 million. His body was found 10 days after the sinking, and he was identified by initials sewn onto the lapel of his dinner jacket. It says also found was $2,440 in cash in his pockets and a gold pocket watch. More period clothing. And then this is kind of depicting the day they would be setting sail, the White Star Line loading up the luggage to be put on the boat. And then over here we have a boy selling papers talking about the disaster. As you can see, the departure was right here, and then sinking was right there. And this is a Peugeot. It says this is the only one like this in the world, and it's talking about Lady Duff Gordon, who was also aboard the Titanic. She invented the runway or catwalk show. Her gowns and lingerie were popular with the elite European woman. She was headed to New York to negotiate a lease for Lucille Limited with her husband, Baron Sir Cosmo Duff Gordon. Mr. and Mrs. Gordon survived in lifeboat number 1 with just 12 passengers. Its 65-person capacity had enough seats to save 53 of the 61 children that tragically drowned. It's unfortunate. I mean, unfortunate for them surviving, but unfortunate that more couldn't have been aboard. And then over here we have more clothing. Period clothing. Now, the car we're going to see is the most important piece of Titanic history you will ever see. Cars that appeared in 1912 prior to its ill-fated journey aboard the Titanic. Oh, wow. So this was actually on it. It says, the doomed French luxury car. When Titanic sunk on April 15, 1912, she took with her a 1912 Renault Type CB town car, the only car listed on the Titanic's manifest, owned by 36-year-old millionaire first-class passenger William Carter and his wife Lucille. They both survived. Okay, and this says this 1912 Renault CB luxury town car is the only other exact car known to exist. Has 6 fenders. The car used in the movie was a replica built for Jack and Rose's love scene. It says this car is 112 years old and is insured for $1 million. So they weren't even able to use it in the movie. Wow, but this would have been the exact car that sank on the Titanic. And then on this dress they have the heart necklace, and they say that that was not actually on the Titanic. It was just for the film based on the Hope Diamond. Evelyn McLean's car she was the owner of the Hope Diamond and used to travel around in this. As Titanic sank, one female passenger is said to have refused to be parted from her dog and chose to stay aboard. Several days later, as the SS Bremen passed through an area still strewn with debris and frozen victims floating in the water, passengers saw the body of a woman tightly holding a shaggy dog in her arms. And this says it's dedicated to the real-life Jack and Rose. Third-class passengers Elin and Edward Lindell were a young couple on the way to the next chapter of their married life. Wallace Hartley's violin tribute, the violin that was played by the band leader on the Titanic, Wallace Hartley. The band members played on the boat to calm the passengers as the doomed ship sank. There's a hair clip from the trip and boarding passes. It says 53 children died in total on the Titanic, only one from first class. Of the 1,500 who died during the sinking, only 337 bodies were ever found. 119 were buried at sea, 209 were brought back to Halifax, 59 were claimed by relatives and shipped to their home communities. The remaining 150 victims are buried in 3 cemeteries: Fairview Lawn, Mount Olivet, and Baron de Hirsch. And here we have more period clothing. And then mention of Captain Smith, Captain. And then a little bit of an experience here where you can look out and see the iceberg out the captain's area. Now that says that is a 100% accurate replica of the Thomas Perry and Son safe door recovered from the Titanic. Cork-filled life jackets were so heavy and hard like bricks that many victims and survivors were found to have broken their jaws. Oh. It says this particular one was used in the movie, but this one is extremely lightweight as opposed to the real ones. And this shows the differences of the slope from the time that it hit the iceberg. So here it's showing 15-degree slope at 150. Then at 205 it was 30 degree, and then 45 degree at 218. So imagine trying to maneuver a boat with that kind of a slope while the ship went down. And it says they also have the binoculars that were locked in a case right here in the crow's nest. And this is a replica of the desk, and it says, why did the wireless operator Jack Phillips not heed the warning sent them? It's because he was dealing with, it said, passengers' messages, handling their problems, and didn't have a chance to read these. When it fired its flares, they fired the wrong flares. Fired white flares, and red is the standard for emergency. So apparently they didn't know it was a distress call. But here we have all the first class dining china. And the menus. Would have been a 10-course meal. And then let's see what we have over here. This was part of the gymnasium. They're showing some of the things that were available. See, there's a woman up here like riding side saddle. This is at 2:20 a.m. Finally, Titanic sank below the ocean's surface. Then there fell on our ears the most appalling noise that human beings ever heard. The cry for help with a cry we knew could not be answered. And this car's talking about Benjamin Guggenheim. Died like a gentleman. Met death bravely and with honor. Said this was his last ride, and he was also, of course, on Titanic. Refused a seat on the lifeboat, knowing if he took it that a child would die. So he died at the age of 46. A hero. Well, this was certainly an amazing tribute and exhibit to Titanic. Kind of interesting when I told you the story of the only car on board. It also says on this little placard back here that since 1997, when the movie came out, people have been, well, scavengers have basically been out trying to figure out a way to search for the car underwater, locate it, to no avail. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed our little vlog on the Titanic Museum here at the Volo in Illinois. We will see you next time. Have a great night and goodbye.